Hi all, so today we're going to look at solar exposure versus temperature. It's the final project for the statistics for decision making. So we're first going to look at Warrnambool. Warrnambool is located on the southwestern side of Melbourne. It's located pretty close to the ocean, so they can receive a lot of ocean breeze. So because of that, we see that their solar exposure is quite low compared to the average maximum temperature, which is very high. No correlation can be seen. So obviously that does not fit the required question. And you can see that through the 2018 solar exposure versus average maximum temperature, that there is no correlation for either. They may get close to each other and try a relationship, I guess you could say, but it doesn't actually happen. Then we look at Orbost. Orbost is located around 375 kilometres east of Melbourne. Orbost is known for the Snowy River, also known for its cold climates. Not as cold as another location we're going to look at, but you can still see that the solar exposure and the average maximum temperature do not have a correlation. They do not form that relationship that we need. And even just to prove that again, you can see in the 2016 solar exposure versus average maximum temperature that there is no sort of relationship formed. Echuca. Echuca is located quite far north in Victoria. It is located closer to the Tropic of Capricorn than any of the other locations we're looking at. It is known for its quite hot and heated weather, as we will see here. But the solar exposure does not come close to correlating with the average maximum temperature. They are quite separate and apart. But you can see the trend here on their 2017 chart that they do both seem to follow the same sort of shape, but it does not form the correlation for us to say this is a correlation, this has formed a relationship. I can see that it dips, but that is only showing us the seasons and when it changes. The Bawbor village is located in the Bawbor Ranges. It's known for its very cold climate, and also obviously people know it as Mount Bawbor. So we're looking here. This is the interesting one. We can see that they correlate with each other at the start, but then it just disperses as time goes on. And then we look at their 2019 graph. We can see the solar exposure actually starts in front of the average maximum temperature. They do correlate together and form that relationship, but it quickly separates as the year goes on and they go into the summer. So even though the sun may be out and it may be shining, etc. like that, the sun doesn't affect the temperature in this case, or for the majority of the locations. And the last location we're looking at is Castlemaine. Castlemaine is located about 45 kilometres out of Bendigo and is very well known for its gold mine digging in the 1800s. So again, we can see that the solar exposure is still obviously quite low and it doesn't affect the temperature. So even though it's rising, the average maximum temperatures are not really rising with it. And then if we pull up the 2018 chart, we can see they correlate around September, October, November. But as soon as summer starts to kick in, the temperature boosts up and the solar exposure lacks the kick, I guess. So we've got an all locations graph here, and I really just want to point out the brown line there, which is the Bawbor village average maximum temperature. And you can see in the dark blue, we've got the Bawbor village solar exposure. So you can see with a cold climate, the solar exposure does not affect the temperature in that time. And lastly, so especially between Echuca and Bawbor, there is a massive difference with their solar exposure and their temperatures, but it does not affect the overall temperature, and it still proves there to be no correlation. Do locations with certain geographical markers have a correlation with solar exposure versus temperature between 2015 and 2019? Unfortunately, none of the locations provide a correlation.